Redesigning your website is a massive undertaking. I've been helping remodelers redesign their websites into lead generation machines for about 12 years now. And in this video, I want to walk you through some major considerations and some things to think about when redesigning your website. If you don't know me, I'm Spencer Powell, CEO at BuilderFunnel. Our agency has helped remodelers generate well over $150 million in remodeling projects, and this YouTube channel, BuilderFunnel TV, is where we share some tips, some strategies, some tactics, things that have worked for us along our journey, and now we're passing them along to you. They may or may not work, but we want to pass along the things that have worked for us in hopes that they will for you. So today we're going to dive into some considerations, some things to think about when you are going down that path of, do I want to redesign my website? So let's take a look at some of these. The first one is, when did you redesign your website last? So was it last year? Was it 10 years ago? Was it somewhere in between? That is the first thing that you want to look at. Now, if you go and talk to a web design company, they are always going to be operating on a shorter time frame on when you should redesign. So if you redesigned yours 2 years ago, they'll probably say, oh, for sure, it's time, it's been 2 years, it's time to redesign the site. That's not what we've seen is necessary to achieve success with your website in terms of the performance that you want to get out of it. So timeline is a consideration, but it shouldn't be the deciding factor. You might have redesigned your site 6 months ago, but if it is complete garbage, it still may be time to redesign it. Or maybe you redesigned it 4 years ago, but it still looks pretty modern and you've been working on it actively and upgrading it and improving it. You may not need a full redesign. So it's important to separate time from this conversation. Generally, as a rule of thumb, 3 to 5 years is a good timeline to say, hey, I might need a redesign, but it shouldn't be a just check the box, hey, it's been 2.75 years, so got to redo my site. So that is the first consideration, is just, hey, how long have I had this current site? And then some of these next considerations will help close the gap in determining should you actually go down this path or not. All right, so the next one is, how much should you pay? And you can literally just go to Fiverr.com and get a website done for a few $100s. So cost is a factor, but if you're just looking for the cheapest, like, you can just go to some of these sites and get a quick template set up and launched, and you can really get it done within about a week. Now, is it going to be what you need? Probably not. So let's talk about a more common range of what to expect if you go down this path. Generally, what you'll see is you'll probably spend between $5,000 and say $30,000 on a brand new website. Obviously, that's a pretty big range. At $5,000, you're probably going to get a template and maybe some content loaded, but you might have to provide the content. You'll probably have to provide all the photography. That's pretty common regardless. And it's going to be a pretty small site, so maybe a handful of pages. Then as you scale up towards that, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, etc., typically the site is going to be larger. You're going to have more custom functionality. Maybe you want some like calculators and some things that are more interactive that require basically additional development time. Another big factor is content writing and copywriting. So are you paying for somebody to write all the copy for every single page on the website? And then again, the number of pages would also influence that. So generally, I find that people are going to fall somewhere towards the middle of that range. Maybe $7,000 or $8,000 to $15,000 or $18,000 is going to be more common, and then you can push to the edges of that range depending on if you really are just trying to get something super basic up or if you need something highly customized. All right, so the next consideration is, when do you need the site? So do you need something literally tomorrow, or can you wait 4, 5, 6 months for the brand new site to be launched and live and ready? I would encourage people to go through the redesign process not having a state of urgency around it. Obviously that requires some planning, and for you to be in a spot where you have a site that's operational and you don't necessarily need something tomorrow. Obviously, if you're a brand new company and you need a site quickly, that's a consideration. If your site, if you're rebranding and you need to hit certain deadlines, that would be a consideration for a shorter time frame. But hopefully, if you're not in one of those positions, you're in a spot where you can say, hey, this is a big project, this is a big undertaking. Let's really think through the strategy on this and what we want the final outcome to look like, and then we can take a little bit longer to move through the execution phase, knowing that we're going to spend a little bit more time on the strategy piece. So timing is always a factor, but that is something that you should consider when you're going into this process, is what are you looking for as your desired outcome, and then how long are you willing to wait, or how quickly do you need something for what's going on in your business right now. All right, so the next thing is, what features do you want? So this kind of goes back into the customization topic, but if you want a bunch of fancy features, maybe you want a really customized portfolio section, maybe you're going to incorporate a lot of video into the website, and maybe you're either shooting that video or you already have it, but you need to find out, like, this piece is going right here, this is very contextual to this spot, and we want to do it in a very specific way, or you want some interactive tools. Like, all of those types of pieces are going to be an impact on this, and things that you should consider at this stage, which is, do I need any of these fancy features or do I not? And if I do, what are they? And really just, considering what are they, how long are they going to take, and are they going to actually have the impact that I want? Because I feel like sometimes people think, oh, if it's fancy, it'll be good. But you can dream up a lot of fancy, cool tools that you can put on your website, but if nobody's visiting that page, they'll never get used. Nobody will get the benefit of it. So it's important to think through, again, what those features are, where they're going to be, and do you really need them? All right, the final consideration is, what is the purpose of the redesign and your new site? Is it just a brochure site that you just want there, so if somebody manages to get there, they can look at all your great photography? Or do you want it to be something that actually produces leads? So like a lead gen site versus a brochure site. That would be a large consideration, and it's a little bit of that like beauty and function consideration too. Do we just want to focus on making it look pretty and sharp and modern and all of those? And how much like user experience and conversion components do we want to bake into that? Because you may have to sacrifice a little bit of beauty for some performance. Those, again, are considerations to think through as you're redesigning and launching your new site. If you've been following us for a little bit, we would skew towards performance. You're going to get a lot more out of your website. But if that's not part of your overall company strategy and your marketing plan, and you just simply need it as a brochure, then maybe you'll take a different approach. But again, this is a major consideration because it will influence the design depending on what you want the website to deliver for you. So those are a few considerations, things to think through as you're navigating this thought process of, do I want to go down the path of redesigning my website or do I not? And just know that a lot of times the option is to take your existing site and start improving it on a page-by-page basis and looking at it more as an active project than a one-time sprint to get through, old site, new site. You can just gradually improve it, and that way you're treating it as something you're always working on. All right, those are the considerations for today. As always, we'll see you next time here on Builder Funnel TV.